Good evening and welcome to episode 66. As always, we'll start with our gratitude attitude. So please gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. And as you exhale, let all your tension melt away. Take one more deep breath. And this time, let yourself completely go. Think of one thing that you are thankful for that happened in the past week. Now, think about why you are thankful. Go deep. Find the real reason. And now, let's set it free. If you're by yourself, say it out loud what you are thankful for and why. If you are with someone, tell it to each other. All right. So, we discussed inherent existence last week. Let's continue on that topic to make sure that we have a good understanding of this topic before we move on to the next subject. Most people take all phenomena as inherently existent. As we discussed last time, there is no inherent existence. All phenomena are imputed existence. During our discussions, we talked about examples of a book and a car. We're trying to find both of these objects within their parts or a combination of parts. To our amazement, we could not find either object. So today, we'll try to find something different from scratch to bring this point home. I think we talked about this before as well, that we all have a good understanding of what a forest is. I think we can say we'll know when we see one. Say one of our friends bought a house on a large tract of land, say 35 acres. They start planting some trees, 5 trees on their property. They call and ask us to come over to see their forest. We go there and see 5 trees. So, well, this is not a forest. I have 5 trees in my backyard. That doesn't make a forest. So he gets disappointed. He starts planting more trees. Now he has maybe 40 trees. He calls us and says, now I really have a forest. Check it out. We go take a look. It's still not a forest. Maybe a grove, but not a forest for sure. So he goes back to work and keeps calling us every few weeks to see. Every time we see more trees, but disappoint him when we tell him it's not a forest. A year goes by. He calls us and we go this time. We can't count the number of trees on this 35-acre land. We can't figure out where the trees begin and where they end. And we say, aha, this is a forest, my friend. You did it. When did this group of trees become a forest? Can we point to one tree that made this a forest? No, of course not. So forest, we all agree, it's an imputed existence. It's a forest because we all agreed to call it a forest. In some school of thought, they call this a dependent existence because it depends upon the sense perception of the person who experiences the phenomena. So let's look at things we see, for example. The images we see are made up of light reflected from the objects we look at. The light enters the eye through the cornea, which acts as a window at the front of the eye. Because the front part of the eye is curved, it bends the light, creating an upside down image on the retina. The brain actually turns the image the right way up. In other words, what we see is in our mind, but not out there. Without the interpretation, there is no object. Similarly, when we hear music, we are hearing music in our mind and not out there. This is called dependent existence. So there is no inherent existence, if you will. So I will go off the script here just a little bit. We talk about this dependent existence. And when we were in the process of publishing that book, my editor and I had a long discussion. And she said, describe inherent existence in simple words. I said, well, something which does not change. It's just there. Everything else changes. Everything changes. If it is inherent, it should not change. And she said, well, the rocks are inherently existent because they don't change. So I said, well, rocks don't change in your lifetime, maybe. But because of the elements, the air, the water, right? Rocks do change over years, hundreds of years and whatnot. And she got that point. She said, okay, I get it. I'll work on the book. So that reminded me to look at our own example. We all grasp ourselves to be inherently existence, isn't it? We think, who we are, that's who we are, right? But if you go back in time, for example, I know for a fact that a 15-year-old me is totally different than today's me or a 30-year-old me, right? But when I was 15, I was grasping at that 15-year-old me as inherently existence, right? This is it. Even though it was evolving, or I was evolving by every minute, every moment. I just didn't know it. I couldn't recognize it at the time. Looking back, yeah, it's a totally different person, right? So think about that. Think about your own self 20, 30 years ago and see what's changed. And hopefully, you have change, because change is a good thing, right? So that tells us there is no inherent existent in ourselves. We are not inherently existent either. I know it's a profound subject, and we'll take some time to get clarity on the subject. But once that clarity comes, life becomes simple. We no longer grasp on anything and take things as they come without any attachment towards this object. And that's the key. Right now, because of our grasping, our attachment is very strong. If we look at things that we grasp on a daily basis, it's insane. For example, some of us are attached to our cars, our homes, our computers, our 50 pairs of shoes, our money, our kids, whatnot, right? But if we start looking at these and realize that there is no inherent existence, our attachment towards these objects will gradually reduce. And at some level, we know the fragility of all this, but we are just not ready to accept and do not have the awareness to see it at the moment, right? And that's the key, right? I mean, we know philosophically that we shouldn't be attached to all of these things, but we are in the moment, we are so attached, we just grasp these things. So something to think about. All right, in our meditation today, we'll first settle down, as always, at our heart by focusing on our breath. Then we'll observe awareness of the universe. If a thought arises, let's label that thought today. Every thought that comes to mind, we'll put a label on it. Doesn't matter what label we put on a particular thought and whether it is accurate or not. You will notice that once we put a label on a thought, chances are a new thought may pop up. If we begin to label like this in meditation, we'll also begin to identify thoughts that show up in daily life. Once we are able to identify happy, skillful, sad, etc. thoughts, we'll be able to drop negative thoughts. And that's the idea, right? Another version of this exercise, if you want to try this differently, I'm going to, focus on this version. But if you want to try different version, um, just have two, black and white. If a negative thought comes, black, positive thought comes, white, and keep a score, right? During the whole day. Goal is to reduce the black pile and increase the white pile, right? And if you're aware of your thoughts, and if you catch them, I think it will go a long way as to what feeds your brain. So if you are ready, let's begin. Please get into your meditation posture. Cross-legged position. If you are in a chair, just keep your legs straight. Keep your back straight, spine upright, shoulders leveled. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. That way, any tension you may have in your jaws will disappear. Put your palms in your lap, right over left. Thumbs gently touching each other. Now take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, feel the relaxation in your entire body. Bring your attention to the sensation of your breath. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Keep your attention at the sensation of your breath for about a minute or so on your own. Now, bring your attention at your heart. Imagine everything that happened before this moment melts into light and disappears. Things that have not yet happened are not real anyway. So it is just this moment. Enjoy the peaceful nature of this moment. Let this peaceful moment bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there is nothing to do, nowhere to go. It is just this moment. Just enjoy. Now, observe the bright blue sky. That is your mind. If a thought arises, just label it. Label it with the first thing that comes to your mind. Doesn't have to be accurate. No need to think about it. Just label it. Happy, sad, interesting, whatever label comes to your mind. As soon as you label your thought, a new one may pop up. Keep labeling them until the thought parade stops. Be sure not to chase them. If you ended up chasing your thoughts in some other world, please come back. Focus on the sensation of your breath for about 10 breaths. Continue to observe your mind. If a thought arises, just label it. Keep labeling your thoughts until the thought parade ends. Observe the empty like nature that is your mind for the last minute or so on your own. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions?
No questions, but it's starting to make a lot of sense now.
That's good. That's progress, right?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.